Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Garage Gym Experiment podcast. My name is Adam. I'm here with Jake. We are in our gyms talking to you about home gym equipment. On tonight's episode, we're going to discuss HomeGymCon, the event that's happening April 14th through 16th that we are putting on in French Lick, Indiana. We're going to get into some new products. That's the BlackWing from Rep Fitness, the Stealth Spotter arms from Surplus Strength. Bells of Steel has Teased, a plate-loaded functional trainer. We've got the Mars Bar 2.0, the Rogue Deep Dish Arnold edition. Then we have a little Strength Co. and Surplus Strength news that is coming out. We'll get into those survey results. There's no real theme, but we'll chat about rack attachments, smelling salts, fold-away racks, and more. After that, we have a little Kabuki and Rogue Transformer Bar situation come to you from Flex Marks the Spot. We're going to share with you and have a chat about that, and then Jake's going to give me a product idea. So with that,
a bit. All right, let's start off with the HomeGymCon update. So we've added some vendors. Not Dead Yet, apparel company led by Matt Vincent. Primal Armor, he's got some barbells to share with the community. I'm excited to see what he's got. And then let's call it a stealth company with an unreleased rack attachment. They literally just sent me their logo, and it's called Padded Wall. That's the only information I have, but they're excited enough to come out from, I believe, North Carolina. So I've got some high hopes from it. We're also loading up the giveaway. A lot of companies are donating some really awesome gifts. So for example, Cleva has recently added a $1,000 gift card. And then also within their post, they mentioned that they're bringing at least 8 new products to HomeGymCon to showcase, which is pretty cool. You kind of thought, what's been going on the last year or so? They've only released a product or two, and boom, here we go. Bells of Steel is throwing in a $500 gift card. Brian Hennessy is bringing in 5 Henny attachments for people to take home, and then Weighted Out Skit giving a pair of 45s. And then before we move on, I'll just mention that we have, I think, over $10,000 worth of giveaways already. So those are broken out into 3 different kind of sections. So we have some that are exclusively for the premium ticket purchasers, some for people that will be able to take stuff home on Sunday, and then others like these gift cards we mentioned for anybody that buys a ticket. So there will be something there'll be a chance to win somebody for anybody that comes to HomeGymCon.
it's awesome news.
All right, let's move on to some new products and product teasers.
All right, so we're going to start off from a correction from last week. We talked about the BlackWing possibly being a storage option for the back of the rack. Well, that has been corrected, and now we know that it is a standalone bench series. So we also saw pictures of a zero gap, and we thought that was going to be a 5200 zero gap 2.0 possibly, but it's just the zero gap capabilities in Rep's newest bench, and they're calling it the BlackWing. So it's got that zero gap technology, easy ratcheting adjustments, which Jake and I got to play with at Arnold. It is super easy. You can lift it up with a pinky. It has 12 different adjustments that go from a slight decline all the way up to an 85-degree incline, and they're all, well, not all, but most of those are laser marked on the sides. It's got an improved pad. They're vinyl, also different pad options with a wider one, and then they're standard. And then the leg roller attachments above the headrest, so you can do decline sit-ups and things like that. This is really their beefiest option. Comes in at $600 and is expected to ship by June 30th.
Yeah, that was my bad. I'm not sure why. I thought back wing. I don't know. It kind of sounded like storage option, but
it made sense to me, and I was like, yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right, next up, these Stealth Spotter arms are live. So these are spotter arms. The primary features are that they take up less space. They take up less holes on the rack, and they're also easier to mount. They're also made with American-made steel, laser cut and precision welded. They're side mounted with 1-inch fixed pins, so you can put things in between. 10 laser cut and numbered holes on the sidewalls. And then something else that I think is pretty cool, and this aligns pretty well with the UPS, is you can technically flip it upside down, put it at the top of your rack, and add a UPS to hang it over the side with. I have not done that yet with the Stealth Spotter arms, but I've been meaning to. But I will do that hopefully this week and be able to, I don't know, make an Instagram post or something.
Bells of Steel teased today on their Instagram a plate-loaded functional trainer just with the comment thoughts. And so as you can see, if you're watching this video, if not, if you're just listening, I'll explain it. It's got the dual rod guide rails, which is going to be a lot smoother than like your 2x2 chrome posts. Each side has 16 different settings for your starting positions. And then just to add on, someone said that they're loving the new things Bells is coming out with. And they said, how about a leg extension leg curl machine, like a standalone machine? And Bells just shared, keep your eyes peeled. So it sounds like they're working on something like that as well.
Pretty cool. So they're starting to challenge Titan for those kind of budget specialty machines.
Yeah.
All right, next up. So the Mars Bar 2.0 was released on the Solid Bar website last week. And this one, Adam and I got to try out at the Arnold. I personally was a huge fan and definitely would rather have this smaller option than the beefier version 1. So just in general, this one includes shorter sleeves and weighs like 30 pounds less at 35 pounds. It's a better option for small athletes and, like, in general, easier to wield around if you're in tight spaces. It only costs $100 less, though. I think I personally would have liked to see a bigger price difference. Nevertheless, like I said, I would go with this one. I'm not going to be loading up like 700 pounds or even 500 pounds on it. So this one would do the job for me, and I think most people as well.
All right, the next product we have for you is the Rogue Deep Dish Plates, the Arnold edition. These got a lot of excitement on Instagram. People were really excited to have the chance to purchase these. They came out when the Arnold was happening. They're a limited edition run deep dish plates. They are the replica of the Strongman from the elephant bar deadlift. If you watch the Arnold Strongman with Arnold signature pose, 3/4 back on the plates. They are only sold in single sets of 45s. They limit you to buying a single set. The price is $275 plus shipping. We'll get into everybody's take and Jake and I's take later in the surveys, but new product just out. They ran out quick and then they were able to restock. So,
yeah, we'll have some data on that soon. Lastly, in this new product / teaser section, we have the Strength Co. times surplus strength rack. So from what it appears, the Strength Co. is collaborating with Surplus Strength to make their racks. Who knows? Maybe while these two guys, Grant and Jason, were at the Arnold, maybe they decided to get together and seal the deal. So maybe if you are a vendor, potential vendor, or you run a strength equipment company, much of the value of going to a convention isn't just meeting your potential customers. It is networking with other companies. That's not a sales pitch at all.
no, didn't sound like it. No.
We did, yeah.
I couldn't even think of a
maybe
convention
that's not even how it
happened.
happened, but I don't know. We did see him chatting, so.
Seemed friendly. All right, we're going to get into those survey results. Jake's going to start us off with those deep dish Arnold plates.
Thanks, Adam. I'll start us off. So, as we mentioned, we have some data. So, overall level of interest in the Arnold Edition deep dish plates, 59% voted low, about 20% voted medium, 16% voted high, and then 6% neutral. So, in general, most people don't really care too much for these.
Yeah.
What about you, Adam?
Jake and we were talking about it, and I agree with you. If you're going to pay that premium dollar, I want a full set. I don't want to buy one pair of 45s to just kind of display or show off. And I would even go a step further. If you're going to spend big money, I'd almost want them to be the stainless steel, that silverly nickel that you get from the strongman competition. But they did get a lot of excitement, and people who have them really do love them. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that thought. We kind of discussed that, but one special plate isn't great, but if you can just like get a whole set, that might be pretty legit.
All right, we had a question about where do you squat and where do you bench. The most popular answer was inside of the power rack for both squat and benching. More people are benching outside of a squat or a half rack. Not exactly sure what to make out of that. So inside the power rack, we have 58-ish% of the people squatting. Outside the rack, 26%. And then outside of like a squat stand or a half rack, 16%. So it just shows you most people are inside a full rack for squatting. Benching, about 50 people are benching inside of a rack. About 26% are benching outside of their power rack. And then from a squat stand or a half rack, 25% are benching. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to make about that.
I could see
that difference. Like you have a separate setup for bench.
Yeah. Maybe you have like a competition style. I've seen, dedicated powerlifters have that. Or maybe you have something like a yoke with spotter arms and you're benching off of that. Or like the Phoenix rack from Bridge Built. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of kind of like the stealth spotter arms, speaking of potential attachments with that take up less holes on a rack, 43% say that they would pay a little bit more for this feature on their rack attachments. Only 25% said no, so about 1.7 times more voted yes than no, and then about 31% just aren't quite sure.
All right, we have some smelling salt data. Kind of random, but here we go. About a quarter of the people have used smelling salts, but only 7% in total use them very often. So maybe it's just something you try in your friend's basement. Only 5% have high interest in smelling salts. I got to say, I think they're interesting, Jake. It's not something I would do very often. Maybe that says something about how intense I am, but what about you?
I feel like it's a nice to have around if you really wanted to.
You're going for that PR every, month or so. Yeah, sure. I could see that.
I didn't have any until the Arnold.
Okay.
That was the first time I ever even tried it. And ever since the Arnold, I work out first thing in the morning. Like I'm in the gym at 5 a.m. and it just does not sound right. Or it does not feel right. Like I have literally no desire. It takes me like 45 minutes to get into my workouts anyways.
You'd be pretty hardcore if you just just kind of trudge out into the gym and just start going. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. So folding rack data. So we asked, where would you most likely buy a folding rack? Would you go with Rogue, Bridge Built, PRX, and then a combination of other / Bells of Steel / Titan / Rep? So the winner is Rogue with 37% of the votes. Last year they did receive 50% of the votes.
Oh.
The year before that they received like 54% of the votes. So even more. So they're down a little bit, but still in first. It's kind of crazy. Bridge Built and PRX, they're known for their fold-away racks. They were the bottom two votes, but they did combine for about 36% of the votes. And then the other category received about 27% of the votes.
Our next question was comparing level of interest in the Rogue Boneyard versus the Titan Scratch and Dent. Rogue grabbed 36% high interest votes, which was more than 2.5 times more than the Titan Scratch and Dent category. The Scratch and Dent received 2 times more low votes than the Boneyard. So the Boneyard reigns supreme in this comparison. Not too surprising.
Yeah, not surprising. And in general, just seems like moderate interest in general.
Right.
All right, next up is another question that we've asked in the past. So we asked, what's your business biggest weakness between mobility, strength, and conditioning? And then what of those three, what would you want to improve the most? So a whopping 52% said mobility was the biggest issue. 34% said conditioning was their biggest issue. And then 14% said strength was their biggest issue. So when you move on to what people want to improve, even though only 14% said strength was their biggest weakness, 41% want to improve it the most still. 31% want to improve their mobility the most. And then conditioning, that was 29%. And there were some slight changes from last year, but in general, nothing too crazy. But the want for more strength did go up.
All right, story time for you. So our goal in these podcasts is just to keep you up to date on new products, and then we have our survey results, of course, and then just what's going on in the community. We grabbed this one from Flexmarks The Spot. Someone had some issues getting their Kabuki transformer bar, and it seems like that's something that's happening right now. So from the story, it looks like somebody ordered their Kabuki transformer bar, paid for it, and this was back Black Friday. So, now we're in the middle of March. It's been a little bit. They've reached out and haven't heard anything from Kabuki. Kabuki ended up releasing a statement saying that if customers who are still waiting would rather have a Rogue manufactured transformer bar, they could do that and possibly get it sooner. So it looks like they're having a little issues getting those bars out. But since Rogue is now manufacturing those bars, they are able to use that as an option to get them quicker to companies. So if this is you and you did not know that, now you do. Not fun to pay for something like a transformer bar. I'm sure there's a lot of excitement in putting that to use. And then, man, we are 4 months since Black Friday.
Yeah. Sounds like nothing but trouble happening over at Kabuki. More than just this. All right, let's move on to a product idea. So this is more of just a product suggestion. I wouldn't necessarily call it an idea, but based off of I don't know, Adam, did you like the smaller Mars bar?
I didn't, but I have to say, maybe if I had the Mars bar in my space and I loved using it, but I didn't use it as much because it is kind of a beast to take out and get set up, maybe I would have had more appreciation for the smaller one. But because it's just something that has already been on a rack for me and I can throw on my back and use, the smaller one didn't really appeal to me too much.
Okay, so the smaller one did appeal to me, and that is the motivation behind this idea. I simply think there is certainly a market for lighter specialty bars with shorter sleeves. So for me, the problem is wielding around these strange shaped specialty bars in tight spaces, or like if I have it within a 9-bar storage system or something like that, it gets like tangled up real easily, tough to like take out. Sometimes you have to take out another bar just to put it back. And then you have to wield it around all the way to the rack. And then I personally will use it and use like a third of the sleeves at most, just about every time. So not necessarily like it's the end of the world, but I do think that it would be less intimidating for a lot of people and just easier to use if we had something, more options that were just simply lighter and just, not quite as overbuilt. Shorter sleeves, I think, are big. And I think there's potential to do this with a traditional SSB. That's kind of what comes to my mind first. I think a multi-grip bar. And then I also think about the open trap bars. Those things are pretty huge, especially like my rep one with the with the rotating handles, that thing is like super heavy. So, I mean, I like it. I mean, I don't think I would do it for X bar, but I definitely think so. I'm a little bit bigger of a guy, but I definitely think there's a market for smaller bars like that.
Okay, so, there it is. I can see it for SSBs because that's like almost like a direct comparison to like something like the Mars bar. Yeah, multi grips maybe, mostly just SSBs.
Maybe not multi grips.
Yeah, yeah, especially with those like handles coming off the front, they can be quite a bit to move around. I give the idea of 5.5. I think because even though people won't necessarily need the sleeve length, everyone's buying things that are rated for higher or has like the capability of going heavier, even though they never need it. So if the option's there to spend a little bit more for something that's like beefier, I think the consumer's typically going to go that route.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do think the price difference has to be pretty substantial.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure like the logistics into that.
Right.
But I think that's a necessity as well. All right, well, I think that's going to do it.
All right, well, if you liked tonight's episode, keep your eye out for new episode releases wherever you listen to podcasts. Stay involved on our social media sites by following Garage Gym Experiment and taking part in our Sunday surveys on Instagram so that you can be a part of these conversations. Like, follow, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and get involved on our website for all your home gym content needs. Be sure to follow HomeGymCon. It's happening April 14th through the 16th in beautiful French Lick, Indiana. Keep your eye out for all the information we have coming out on that by visiting HomeGymCon.com or following HomeGymCon on Instagram. Jake, do you have anything else left for these listeners?
Nope.
Well, that's going to do it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. We'll catch you next time. Bye.